What's up, guys? I'm just back from the Bassmaster Kayak Series Championship on Lake Chickamauga. This video, we're going to jump into what I found in practice and then talk about day one, go through the highlights from day one. But before I do that, I just want to talk about the week that was over there. This is the first championship under the new leadership with Steve Owens running the Bassmaster Kayak Series. It was midweek, like it's always been, but in conjunction with the Classic, like it's always been. And all I can do is say it not only met expectations, but exceeded expectations. Well done from the folks at Bass for listening to everything that the kayak anglers recommended as far as improvements. The championship was smooth in spite of the weather. Steve did a great job. The rest of the crew did a great job. The expo and the awards and all that were great. I'll put some highlights of that in the day 2 video that I'm going to do here soon. But with that said, let's get into practice and day one.
So I started off practice on the north end of the lake, literally up by the spillway, by the dam. And this video really doesn't do it justice how strong the current was up there. I fished around for a little bit, didn't really like what I was seeing, ran into a few other people, quite a few boats there actually. You can kind of see the current coming around that point, but it was a little much for me to deal with. And I also had heard rumors they were going to shut that current off come tournament time, and I'm not familiar with the Tennessee River or how to deal with that. I checked a few more ramps heading south of there. I found this one up one of the rivers that feed into Chickamauga. Didn't really like that. Wrapped up day 1 and then headed to practice day 2 here and found this area that looked more like home. Had some main channel bank stuff, some rocks, some docks, a big marina that looked good on the map. Threw a jig around, drug a football jig and a flipping jig around, and actually got a few bites, caught a few fish back here like this one. Not giants, but enough to let me know that there were, 16-inch, 17-inch quality fish in the area. So day 1 of the tournament, I decided on fishing that area there, and you can see it's right off the main channel, long extended point coming out with a creek channel going back in there, and plenty of docks to hide behind to move up to get ready to spawn. So also on day 1, as you can see, it was nasty. It was raining day 1 of the tournament. It rained from literally before the tournament started all the way till tournament's end. With the rain in the front coming through, I decided to throw moving baits to begin with. Threw a spinnerbait for a little bit, a crankbait. Of course, threw that jig around some, square bill, A-rig, jerkbait. Threw a lot of moving baits with no takers on any of my moving bait stuff, even though I talked to some guys after the tournament, and where they were fishing on the lake, they were catching them on moving baits. Moved all the way back in the back of this pocket, fished the marina, and around and behind the marina, up in the boat slip some. One of the cool things about this area is I had it to myself. There was literally nobody else there.
You're in a good spot. It's not raining in there, is it?
Except this guy.
Not yet. How about you? Yeah.
So I moved back out to the mouth of this pocket. There's kind of a long point with some rocks on it and some gravel. You can see that transition bank right there. And pulled out the emergency kit. I was throwing a football jig and a regular flipping jig the day before. And my backup to that is, of course, if you've watched any of my videos, the trusty Carolina rig. Just let the video play for a minute as I drag this Carolina rig across this textbook extended point, moving into the smaller pocket here. Man, I was excited to be hooked up with a fish finally. It'd been a couple hours into this rainy morning, and I thought it was going to be fast and furious, and it was not. But glad to get one in the boat. Breaking the ice always feels good.
You gotta get bigger, but that's one.
So I stayed out here in the mouth of this creek for just a little bit, just like I said, just off the main channel. Missed another bite right there. On my day 2 video, I'll go deeper into my Carolina rig setup for this event. There's 2 or 3 baits I always throw on the C rig, the ball and chain. I know a lot of people hate it, but it's a great fish collector when you don't know what else to do. Feel that tungsten banging down in the rocks there. Telltale thump. It's usually like a jig bite. Sometimes it's just heavy, but that was a thump like a jig bite. fish number 2. It was a smallmouth, which was cool. I didn't catch any of those in practice. It was the fish I hooked up with were largemouth. Shook a few more off back there. Felt like a largemouth.
Smallmouth.
Measuring these things in the rain with your phone out can be a little bit touch and go as well, because if your charging port gets wet, even though my phone's water resistant, you know, if you need to recharge, it won't let you. Fish there a little longer. It was a no-go, so I pulled out the A-rig and ran this dock on the main channel here and decided to head down the lake a little bit and check some stuff that I had found in map study. I hadn't been down there at all to actually practice, but it looked good on the map the night before, so I decided to work my way down there throwing some moving baits. This pocket right here looked juicy. I pulled out the jig and a Texas rig thinking I could get some bites on these laydowns laying in. I had one pick it up, but didn't hook up with anything in there. And this was about the only dock on the lake that had water on it. I thought I might get bit here, but I did not pick one up here either.
All right, so at this point in day one, I am cold, wet, soaked, and kind of discouraged. I've got 2 small fish, and my primary area didn't really hold up. But the area I found on the map that looked similar to my primary stuff that I was checking out the night before had some flat extended gravel pockets leading into spawning areas. I decided to run down there, check those areas that I had not pre-fished, but I had my fingers crossed that they were going to hold fish.
So I fished my way down here, arrived, and it set up really nice. It looked very similar to what I'd planned to fish on my primary stuff, except this point came out and had a pocket on both sides, kind of a longer creek on the south side of it running back in, and it had a lot more chunk rock and gravel coming a lot further out. And it wasn't long before the fish let me know that they were there. I hooked up with this one, got it in the boat, and then this set off a flurry to where I bet you I caught, I don't know how many, probably a dozen fish. Some of them, obviously didn't go on my stringer, but this point was loaded. So after filling up my limit with some smaller fish, put a new bait on, slung back in here. Thought I was hung up in the rocks for a minute, and then this happened. I swore this was a drum in my mind. I was saying, damn it, drum. Now I've gotten a look at it. Almost netted this thing. It was a giant smallmouth. Almost netted it and ran one more time.
Holy.
Man, it was a big smallmouth. I couldn't believe it. Personal best smallmouth, 20 3/4 inch. It was a huge coal. Of course, I had to get a hero shot with it. There you go, right there. And she swam away to be caught.
What's that?
Then the Old Town camera boat pulled up.
Well, I just got my limit. Yeah. But I just broke a personal best smallmouth like 1 minute ago.
Really?
Yeah. And then y'all showed up. But yeah, I just retying after that debacle fighting. It was an almost 21 inch smallmouth.
Holy cow.
I thought it was a drum until I got it in the net.
So I didn't catch the big one while they were there, but I was able to actually catch a couple on camera, which was cool. I'll do another video kind of talking about how elite the coverage Old Town did of us as a team, pre-tournament, during the tournament, and even after the tournament. They did an awesome job covering the event. I was glad I could catch a couple for them. So So after catching a few more fish, I had some battery problems, so I found a dock where I could get up under it and work on my battery and also submit my limit, eat a little snack, get ready for the rest of the day. But couldn't call anymore. Lines out, I headed back across the lake, ended up with 78.5 inches, 26th place out of 132 anglers in the championship. Feeling really good heading into day 2, knowing I could make a big move. It was cold and wet, but happy with how day 1 went.
So there you have it, guys. What I thought was going to be a jig bite, you know, fishing for pre-spawners and early fish moving up to spawn behind a marina. Ended up going to a area I didn't even practice in that just looked good on the map. And my entire limit went from what I thought would be largemouth into all smallmouth, including a personal best smallmouth. How about that? That was exciting. Appreciate y'all watching. Be watching for the day 2 video coming soon.